Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar sponsored by INT. The topic of this webinar is the OSDU implementation journey of the Gorceix Foundation. Just to cover a few housekeeping items before we get started, we are recording this session and we will make the recording available to you over the next few days via email. We value interaction and open communication. So if you have any questions or comments during the presentation, please post them in the QA box or the chat windows, or simply raise your hand to us directly when we'll get to the Q&A portion of this webcast. We will answer any questions at the end of the webinar. And of course, if any question after the webinar, if you have any question after the webinar, you can always email us at marketing@int.com. Before we jumped into the OSDU world with Gorceix, let me share a quick story that maybe set the stage for today's webinar. A few years back and for a long time, as you may know, the energy industry had a big problem. There was no standard way of accessing and sharing data. So you can picture this, a geologist is in one part of the world exploring something of interest, but another geologist dealing with a similar issue just come across the globe and can't benefit of that knowledge. And why? Mainly because that data is buried into a local drive, is in a proprietary app, it's not readable, and those geologists at the end of the day have difficulties to connect the dots. So with the creation of OSDU, the Open Subsurface Data Universe, many of us in the industry saw an opportunity for a big change. We can say a revolution, it's not too big, that goes beyond borders to liberate the energy data. And today, I think what's very exciting is we get to step into Gorceix Foundation shoes to explore their path as they embraced OSDU. And today's presentation will be exploring essential aspect of this journey with three parts. One, discussing the experience, so how the Gorceix Foundation has approached this journey, some of the success and lesson learned through that journey, but also the challenges, which is the second part of it that I've encountered. I think we've seen it in recent events or conversations, such as the face-to-face meeting recently, for instance. It's not easy. So having the opportunity to share from somebody who is in the middle of it, like the Gorceix Foundation, is, I think, very insightful, and also to understand as the last part, the road ahead, what's next, and looking at the horizon. My name is Fabrice Buron. I'm Chief Commercial Officer at INT. We have been involved in the Open Group as part of the OSDU data platform since its inception in 2018. We're proud and excited to be one of the early members within the 230 members currently who have joined this organization. Our universal viewer, IVAP, provides oil and gas companies with data visualization capabilities for their OSDU data and their legacy data at the same time. So now, without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed speaker and from the Gorceix Foundation, Deborah Barreto, who brings a wealth of expertise and insights to the OSDU implementation journey. Deborah has an impressive resume and experience. She's from Brazil. She has a bachelor degrees in geophysics and a master degree in ocean and earth dynamics. She's the co-founder of the Mulheres Geofísicas Group, founding members of Caias Mentoria, and the current Secretary of Publication of the Brazilian Geophysical Society. Experience includes seismic data processing, interpretation, and reservoir characterization. Currently, she works at the Gorceix Foundation, with geophysical data management in the cloud using OSDU data platform and IVAP. So let's get ready for an insightful session that will hopefully leave you with a deeper understanding of OSDU implementation and inspire you or re-inspire you in your own digital transformation. Deborah, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you, Fabrice, and thank you all for attending. As you mentioned, my name is Deborah. I'm a geophysicist. I have been working with Gorceix Foundation for a bit more than a year now, and I act as the focal point of the company in the OSDU forum. Today, I'm going to present about our implementation of the OSDU data platform and share some of the experience and challenge that we have along this journey. The Gorceix Foundation is a Brazilian institution focused on the development of technology and science in different areas such as mining, environment, and oil and gas. It is organized in 9 departments, and the main objective of the Department of Petroleum Geology is to contribute to the assessment of the Brazilian oil potential. In this department, we developed several projects for analysis and evaluation of sedimentary basins and work with the management of geological and geophysical data. We are responsible for managing the Geophysical Data Network, RDG, an infrastructure that optimizes and facilitates the communication between partner companies and operators in the oil and gas sector in Brazil. The RDG is a physical infrastructure of communication and services dedicated to information exchange that is installed in the city of Rio de Janeiro through an optical fiber of around 150 kilometers long, connecting the data center and the oil and gas companies in the city. This infrastructure allows us to promote the development of tools and standards to ensure the quality and security of data and its transmission. And in the last 3 months, we exchanged around 2.6 petabytes of data through this network. So moving to the OSDU data platform implementation, our main goal with the OSDU is to improve the current workflow for publication of geophysical and geological data to partners. This is a very simplified illustration of what this workflow would look like. So the idea is to get some on-premise data uploaded to the AWS cloud, perform metadata ingestion in the OSDU, and consume this data using the IVAP software. Originally, in this workflow, in order to a partner to visualize the data, they will have to go to a physical location, to a physical data room, and analyze the data that was provided to them. But with the OSDU and IVAP, we will be able to provide and manage a virtual data room for different users, allowing the global and secure access while ensuring its legal and compliance entitlements. So for each project, there will be some selected data, seismic wells, along other relevant data available for streaming in the IVAP. And here is just an example of some data that we have ingested that is from Brazil. And this is as a Brazilian seismic data as well. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about our journey to achieve this goal. We have joined the OSDU forum in 2021, and since then, we have continuously increased our participation and contribution to the forum. At the beginning, we had a very slow start. The first instance that we deployed took a long time to become functional, and some of them didn't become functional at all. And due to some no issues with this release, we weren't able to perform many ingestion tests with them. Also, in this first year, we didn't have a fully dedicated team working with the OSDU project, so this didn't contribute as well. So at the end of the first half of last year, we had 2 instances installed, but since we were facing some ingestion issues, we didn't consider them to be operational. In the following half, we had a fresh start with a fully dedicated team, and we focus our efforts on fixing the issues that we are facing with the current milestone that we had, the M11. And once we are able to make it functional, we started testing workflows for seismic and well data ingestion. It took some time, and at the end of the year, we were able to accomplish our first Brazilian well and seismic data ingestion. And by the end of the year, I mean December 28th for the seismic data. At this time, we also joined the pre-shipping team, and this had so much impact in all the work that we are able to accomplish this year, because being part of this team gave us the opportunity to better understand the platform and get familiarized with different workflows that we could use in our implementation. This year, with a working workflow in hands, we focus on validating and improving the seismic data ingestion. So we kept doing some seismic ingestion, trying to make sure that we cover all the basic tests, starting from the legal API to include Brazil in the country list, and make sure the legal compliance was working properly. At this point, we also start preparing for automating the ingestion process, and also engaged in some ingestion tests with the Petabyte software. And in the forum, we started to participate in the platform validation and data loading and ingestion groups. And again, being part of these groups in the forum has been helping us a lot to learn more for the goal that we are trying to achieve. Right now, we are working on the automation of the seismic ingestion workflow, creating a tool for automated metadata extraction for seismic data from some seismic complementary files that we have in the database. And with the knowledge that we got from the forum group as well, we are working on updating the Postman collections to simplify the APIs run. At the same time, we still have some other tests to cover regarding the access control list and security of the data to make sure that it's aligned to our data conformity expectation. And also in the data loading and ingestion group, we started to work on the preparation of some Brazilian public data to include them in the forum open test data to help expand and improve this repository for workflows validation. So the expectation is that in the next year, with the automated seismic ingestion workflow in place, we will be able to activate and make our virtual data room with the OSDU data platform and IVAP available to our partners to consume the ingestion data. And from there, we'll go through the same process for the well data ingestion. So here I have listed a few of the challenges that we found along this road. The first one is the time-consuming deployment. As you could see, it took us a long time to get a working instance. And of course, as we get more experience in the forum, and also as the milestones evolves from in each release, it has become easier, but it was a big challenge for us, especially at the beginning. The second one is related to the Brazilian data preparation. When we think about the seismic data, for example, there are two other trace header standards in Brazil, apart from the SCG revision standard. So depending on how the code is built, we need to make sure that it contemplates this difference and some other specificities of the Brazilian data. Another great challenge was handling the different CRS available in Brazil, because Brazil is a continental country and its most common CRS have several zones with different EPSG codes to work with. So we need to confirm that we are getting the correct CRS for each data that we are ingesting. And that is something that we needed to learn how to deal as well. And these are some of the problems that are related also to the Brazilian data preparation. And with the work that we are doing in the data loading ingestion group, we are facing them together with the community and try to build solutions for that. in the forum, which is great, not only for us, but also because it's the knowledge that we are adding to the community as well. And the greatest challenge that we had for sure is our reduced team, because the OSDU is a very big platform. There are so many things to do and learn with it. And when we look at bigger companies, there might be a team dedicated for the platform deployment, another one to work with different domains and data types, and another one for ingestion and so on. And in our case, for the most of the time, we had just a single person to learn all of that, to learn all about the schemas for the data types that we are using, make sure that we are using properly the resource in the cloud, learning the ingestion best practice and all of that. But right now things are getting better because we are now 2 people, and we also have a dev team that are delivering some products for this project. But for sure, this was the greatest challenge that we have. But despite of that, how are we managing to do it with the forum teamwork? We have received a lot of help, not only from our partners, INT, Yes Brazil, and AWS, but also because of the collaboration environment that is promoted by the forum. There are so many good people willing to help each other and make sure that we are all moving forwards towards our goals. And counting on that help, we are sure that in the next year, we'll be able to put our OSDU virtual data room in operation. And maybe we can come back here in another opportunity to present the value that we got from it with the IVAP. And the final message that I wanted to leave here is the same one that I left in the Houston Summit. The forum is made for us, but also is made by us. So make sure that you are contributing to it to give value, because for sure we are also getting some value back. Thank you, and thank you Fabrice and INT for inviting me for this presentation, and I will be glad to receive some questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah, for this testimonial. That's very insightful. And as you mentioned, yes, definitely a huge part of the success of this forum is definitely the collaboration. I think that's been kind of the key word. It's a village to absolutely be able to make it work. We've got a few questions that are coming through the Q&A box, and so the first one is that, would you mind to share, and we're going to try to answer all of them, of course, as much as possible. If there's any we can't, because we're lack of time, we will definitely follow up. The first one that we have is, could you share a little bit more details about the Brazilian data preparation? If I remember, there's some few particularities, right? You had to dealt with. So would you mind to share about this?
Yes, sure. I mentioned the seismic data, for example, because usually people, when they write the SEGWI, it follows the SCG standard. But in Brazil, we have other standards. We have the ANP, there is the Brazilian Agents of oil and gas and biofossils. And it has its own standard, and also Petrobras has its own standard. So we need to make sure that when we are working with this data, we are reading the trace header bytes correctly. So we are doing the ingestion correctly and making sure that we are getting the coordinates, the inline, cross-line information from the correct location, and it's not the same as the SCG standard. Another thing that we could see while working in the data loading and ingestion group is when we are working with well data, we need sometimes the measure of the well logs are in Portuguese. So the number is, instead of having a dot in the decimal, it's a comma. So we need to make sure that all the measurements, all the values that we have are in English. We need to make sure that the special characters that we have in the names of the formations of the companies, cities, and all of that are in English. So because sometimes the code that we have in the community doesn't handle the special characters. And these are just some of the quality control of the data that we need to do to make sure that we are creating the manifest correctly to perform the ingestion.
Mhm. Thank you, Deborah, very much. So a lot of aspect of data engineering and preparation. So the next question that we have is from Jess. The focus of this implementation is seismic and well data. Are there plans to expand to use other available OSDU aligned visualization tools to access, for example, data supporting CCUS projects?
For now, this is not in the scope of this project. The main focus is the geophysical data related, is the seismic and well, but also horizons and everything related to it. But it doesn't mean that in the future we will have the interest to expand this project to include also CCUS projects.
And a second part to that question, maybe on the IVAP side, maybe because I think the access and visualization, I think it's important. We've seen a lot of our customers and embarking on other data types, even if it's not the case, but like rock and fluids and reservoir DDMS. So as universal viewer on IVAP, we have to do all this work to make sure that as new data types are exposed to the forum, then IVAP can continue to access it and read it. So it's an ongoing work after, depending on the organization, obviously, it depends, the adoption, right, or the rollout. The next question we've got from Carlos is and thank you for the congratulations, is if you have ingested VDS data already or not.
Yes, we have different workflows for VDS ingestion. There is available in the community that we load segwire file and perform the conversion using the seismic domain. But we also have we did some ingestions directly from VDS. This is a work that we did in partnership with INT and Yes Brazil as well. That we converted the data to VDS and uploaded to the cloud and performed the ingestion. And this is a contribution that we are going to share with the community to be another option for everyone to use as well.
Okay. Just going down the list, I know there's a lot of questions coming up. So what are your thoughts of overcoming the time-bound deployment?
What are overcoming the time-bound deployment? Like how to make it faster? I don't know. Is that the question?
Would you mind, Jagadish, if you can please refine your question in the chat panel, and we'll get to it. We'll go to the next one, and if you can give us a bit more detail on what you mean by overcoming the time-bound deployment. The next question is from Debasis. Great presentation, Deborah. Would you be able to share some notes about your VDR, so virtual data room implementation? So such as how do you plan to use the partition facility to isolate data and also leverage ACL to manage user privilege?
Yeah, I think in our plan, we are going to use a single partition for the data. We are not using different ones, at least not for now. But and to isolate and to make sure that we have the correct entitlements and the security for the data, we are going to use it the ACL and also the legal tags, because with the legal tags we can add the expiration date, so it's another way to control for how much time this data will be available, and also but mainly using the ACL.
Okay. All right, and that goes with another question that addresses another question we had about virtual data rooms and security to share data. Okay, so the next question would be, thank you, Deborah. I have one more question. What is the impact you're expecting to achieve once you have the platform available for partners?
I think it's going to be a great difference in the business, right? Because as I mentioned, originally, if we want to publish a data for a partner, this person will have to go physically. You will have to go in person to the office and go to a separate room and visualize the data that we have separated for them. And with the OSDU and IVAP, the first thing is that the person doesn't have to go to a different location. The person can access from its computer. They just need to have the IVAP credential that we are going to share and access the data. So this is one point, and also it makes faster, right? It's also it's very secure. The OSDU give us this ensure the security of the data. So we are sure that it's a secure process for the publication, but I think mainly is the time that we have for publishing it, because once we decide that we are going to share to publish this data, we just need to upload to the cloud, perform an ingestion, and the data at the same minute it's already available in the IVAP. So I think the time is the most benefit that we have from that.
Yeah. I do have a question. So around the size, for instance, of that data, do you have a few indication on how much data in gigabytes or terabytes you have on premise and you're moving to OSDU and OSDU in AWS and OSDU?
Yes, we are planning. Right now we are in testing. So, and the idea is that the amount of data that will go to the OSDU will depend on the demands that we have for the projects. If we have some data that we need to share, we are going to add it there. But the idea is that we need to be able to upload 5 terabytes of data per week. So that's like the biggest goal that we have. So we are taking the steps to get in there. But it will depend. It doesn't mean that we will have to ingest this amount of data every week, but we need to make sure that we are able to do it.
5 terabytes, you said?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so I think that's something that's interesting is the size of the magnitude, testing the platform in large scales, definitely. I think we talk about the VDS, but I want to make sure we don't miss out maybe that aspect. How also pertaining to, so next question is also pertaining to Segway. How are you handling ingestion of raw data pre-migration, pre-stack type of data? So I don't know if you touch on it really, but maybe revisit that one.
Yeah, right now we are only work with volume, so we are working with post stack data. But I think the OSDU already have. I remember they were adding this data type in the seismic for pre-stack, and I think maybe in the future we work with those as well. But right now we are focused on volumes because it brings the most value to the business that we are trying to do.
All right, and I think so. Let's continue. Are we doing on time, Thelma? We're good. We still can take a few more questions.
I think, yeah, we're a little over time, but I think everyone's hanging in. So appreciate your patience for that. Tons of great questions.
Good. It looks like people are interested and engaged. So, Deborah, thanks for the presentation. Next question. We know Petrobras has been planning many 4D node survey for the coming years. Do you think with data being able to be shipped straight from the vessel, and we could start to see some processing while the survey is still being acquired?
Yeah, there is a project also in the OSDU for the real-time data. I think it's EDGE, how they call this data. I think in the future, yes, it will be possible. And in terms of processing, I think Fabrice can answer better about regarding what are the tools available in the IVAP, what can we do. But this is definitely in the scope of the OSDU. This is something that the community wants to add because it adds values to the industry. So I think it will be possible. I don't know when, but
yeah. I think with this is a good question. So currently, at INT, we've got some visualization technology that is used directly on the vessel, because even at the moment of acquisition, you need to do some QC and look at what you're capturing. Just discussing with the industry many times is the question comes up, transmission and cost and volume of transmitting that data from the vessel directly to maybe a cloud provider or something like this. I think there's probably a cost associated right now that makes it pretty difficult, I would say. The technology is there, right? But when you start to use satellite and other technology to pass large volume of data, it could be. But definitely the capabilities are there, definitely, to do it.
yes.
Next question that we have is, so you mentioned a little bit about IVAP, and could you explain, how it helps your data conception on OSDU, how you leverage, the platform for that, and which value it creates?
Yes. Well, the IVAP, it's very easy to use. Actually, once there are some basic information that we need to make sure that we have when we are doing the ingestion, because when we do the ingestion, we can add different variables. Some of them are optional, some of them are mandatory. And with the IVAP, after we do the ingestion, having the correct information, it's very easy to navigate through the map and select the data that you want directly from the map, or just typing in the information, the name of the data that you are looking for. And it's easier to see the seismic, the volume, to not only in line cross line, but also horizontal slice as well. The same thing for well data. We can also do some manipulations to create some curves. And I think this will help a lot, because the idea is that our partners will use it for streaming of data. So they won't need to do hard processing in it, just to do some evaluation of the data that we have made available for them. So I think it's great for the purpose that we have.
Thank you. There's another question from Jagandish. So I say the name when it's there. Some questions are anonymous, okay. Right? So
yes.
What are your thoughts about actually to adopt, or how are you planning to adopt fast deployment? I don't know if you have something you can share around that.
Yes, right now the cloud that we use is AWS. They have recently launched the managed version of the OSDU, the Energy Data Insights. This is an option that we are considering it, but because for sure it's easier, because the hard part about the deployment is that we need to start from scratch, right? Each milestone we need to deploy everything. Is not only a update button. And the idea of using a managed version, it's very good, because we have, as I mentioned, we have a reduced team, and if we have a team that is that has the expertise to do the deployment, it's make much easier for us to go past this challenge. But also I think even though if there is no managed version, the deployment as the milestones evolves through each release, it's becoming easier, right? I think I don't remember when it started the release 3. That is the one that we have the milestone every year, but at least 2 years or a bit more than that. So a lot of technology and a lot of improvement have are in place from when they started up to now. So the idea is to understand better the deployment, to be able to, every time we need to upgrade, we have the best practice to do it, but also the option of having a managed version as well.
Thank you very much, Deborah. We can hear you are in Brazil because we can hear the beautiful birds in your background. That's pretty cool. So we need virtual background, but they need to start to create virtual sound also based on that. Yes. That's very relaxing. So I have another question from Debasi about VDS. Do you regularly convert to VDS to facilitate visualization? No, we did cover this one. It was another one that I had.
I think it was a different question actually, because the first one, it was about the virtual data room, and this one is
about the VDS format. Yes. So the question, just to make sure, is do you regularly convert to VDS, optimize content to facilitate visualization? Please also comment about the compression aspect.
Yes, we use the open VDS, right? The same conversion that is available in the forum, but we can do it. We can do the conversion on site, or we can also, while we are uploading the data to the cloud, it's possible to perform this conversion as well. And I think the idea of having the VDS, it's because it's simpler data, like simpler, I'm quoting here, because it's better for visualization in terms of space as well. It costs less because we can compress the data. Since we are not working with processing in this data, as more for storage and visualization, we can work on the different compression levels that it has available, and it's lighter to go in the cloud as well. So I think I can't see the question anymore. I'm not sure if I answered for it.
Yes, I think you did. Thank you so much. The next question, so we've got still 5 questions. I can see that the number of attendees is still there, so we're gonna push it through. There's one question, which is, what is the value, the next one, which is the value impact you are expecting to achieve once you have the platform available for your partners?
Yeah, I think this one we covered, because it's the one that, like, we don't, the partners wouldn't have to go to a physical location to access the data, and we have less time from demanding this data and making it available for them, because, and also it's available 24 hours, right? Because if the person has to go to a physical location, it's only available for the time that the person is there. But with the OSDU and IVAC, they have the credentials to access it, and they can access the data any time of the day. So there is that as well.
Okay. There's a question about OSDU, and I'm not sure if we have the answer, but if there's plan for OSDU to support multi-unit systems. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. I don't know that's something personally, so maybe we need to park and answer later. But do you know if there's any plan to support multi-unit?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure what multi-unit system would mean in this context.
So I know that the person posted as anonymous, but if you have a specific question, just send it to us at marketing@int.com, and we'll be definitely happy to investigate on that one.
Yeah, but you can also send to me, or I can go in the forum and ask for that. I know that some people that are watching this might know the answer.
All right. 2 last questions. One from Maria del Carmen. Congratulations. Have you encountered any problems in adapting the Brazilian data to the OSDU data platform?
Well, there is the data preparation and some things that sometimes, for example, they're in the CRS list available in the OSDU, At first, they didn't have one of the CRS that some companies use, the ARA2, but it was added later. So the good thing is that once we find something that it's a problem for us, the forum is not contemplating the specific data, the specific needs that we have, we report that back to the forum, and the community start to work on that. Because we also had some problem that when you create a legal tag, there is a list of countries available for you to create, and Brazil wasn't in that list. So we needed to report this problem, and the community came up with the solution, and now we can create legal tags from Brazil. So these are some examples that we have, but I think most of the problem that we have, once we report to the forum, they were able to come up with a solution. If it's not solved yet, we are still working on that. So that's why I say that it's important that we have our participation in the forum, because at the same time that we are contributing to it to add information, we are also getting information back, and also getting new resource and new features to make sure that the forum, the platform is attending our needs as well.
Thank you, Deborah. And yeah, I think it stressed the importance of collaboration and not reinventing the wheel as much as possible.
Yes.
The last question is Debasis, and question, if you can share experience about tiering, if some of the data which is not used often may be pushed to a low-cost tier, and only common data like stack left in a higher cost tier. So I don't know if you faced that question, and maybe you have some elements on it.
We haven't. We know that we can do that. I mean, it's the best way to do it. If you're not using the data, move to a low cost tier. But since we are not in production, we have just a few data in the cloud, and we are constantly using this same data for ingestion. We haven't done this test already, but I think I will make a note of that, and when we do it, I will share with you.
Awesome. I think same here on INT side. This is a question that comes up quite frequently. I'm not sure if there's a standard answer to it, right? But I think it's a good topic for the forum to think about how you enable that tiered storage and optimize your cost of storage, right? Between the things you use all the time and the things that you just need to keep as an archive and retrieve eventually for consultation, but do not need necessarily a premium storage cost and accessibility.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for attending. I want to thank you again, Deborah, for sharing your insight and taking time on behalf of the INT team, but I would say probably on everyone here on this call and the community. We'll be sending out an email with a link of the recording. Feel free to share with colleagues or peers in the industry. If you have any question we didn't answer, please feel free to reach out to us at marketing@int.com. We look forward to seeing you at our next event or webinar. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And Deborah, again, thank you. Thelma, thank you for helping us for this event.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to this presentation and having this discussion. It was very good.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.